are listening to the Good Girl Podcast. I am Cameo King, your host, the Good Girl Podcast, where we are redefining the good through uncomfortable truths. I call those uncomfortable truths confessions. Y'all, it's been a minute. I am happy to be back. Happy to be back on this mic. Excited to really just get into some confessions this season. Excited to really have some mind-blowing conversations, some conversations that unearth who we really are, some conversations that really get into our spirit, right? So as always, make sure you're following us on Instagram. It's at the Good Girl Podcast. Also, make sure you have liked us on Facebook. And if you haven't already, make sure you are subscribed to our email list, right? We'll send out reminders to let you know when a show is up or to let you know when we have events coming up. Because that's something we'll probably get back into as hopefully this pandemic ceases. So stay safe out there, y'all. Make sure you're continuing to wash your hands, wear your mask, and do what you need to do to keep your family safe and your community safe. So on to this topic. I was a little bit hesitant because this topic is kind of spicy, a little bit spicy. I hope y'all don't feel attacked. I don't think you will, because we really want to unpack this and talk about this. So the topic for this week is the reason dating multiple people is a toxic approach. I'm going to say it one more time for the people in the back. Okay? The reason dating multiple people is a toxic approach. So the reason we're talking about this is because I've seen this happen probably over the course of maybe 2 years. There has been this uptick in folks following this trend and amening and attaboying this idea that dating multiple people is the way to get you what you desire, meaning get you a long-term healthy relationship, right? There's even been qualifications. Sis, date multiple people until he proves he's worth your exclusivity, right? And, you know, for the first part, you're like, hey, yeah, I'm gonna date all these people. But y'all, I'm here to tell you, and we're going to discuss this, why this ain't it. But I just continue to see this trend going further and further, and more people attaching themselves to it, and more people supporting it through memes, through conversations, through friends, and just this general acceptance that this is the way, the truth, and the light. But y'all, it's going to be an uncomfortable truth that we going to share, right? Okay. And so who better else than to have this conversation with than my business bestie, my homie, the mental health extraordinaire, than Danielle Moore.
What up, though? What up, Good Girl Podcast? It's good to be back in the building. Guess who's back? Back on the block with your girl. Hey, we in the building.
If you don't know about Danny, Danny is a licensed mental health therapist. She works as a psychiatric assessor for 2 local hospitals in the Dallas, Texas. What's Texas, Danny? She Dallas, Texas area. She is also the CEO, the chief practitioner in charge of the Refresh Wellness Center, which is a telehealth therapy service. And so excited to have you here. She's been doing this work for more than 5 years. And so she knows this. This is who she is. So excited to have you, Danny.
I'm glad to be in the building.
I'm glad to be in the building. So do you agree that this is the shift that's happening in the culture, that we're moving to this space that dating multiple people that's the way?
I agree that the shift is happening, and I also agree that it's toxic. I feel like it's internalized oppression, and we can unpack that and what that looks like. So this might be a bit of a session for y'all today. So I don't know. Put on your big girl panties, because we're gonna unpack this thing today.
We are. You said a bit of a therapy session. This is gonna be a big old therapy session for some folks. And so what we want to do first, before we hop into it, is define dating, right? So we're all on the same page, so we understand what we're talking about. So what dating is not, the dating we're referring to, is not you meet Jerome on Monday and y'all dating, right? It's not you and Jerome talk off and on and you're dating. It's not you and Jerome go out 3 times and you're dating. I know some people define that as dating, but that's not how we're using it in this context, right? In this context means you're consistently seeing someone with the clear romantic interest involved and emotions have already developed and connections are already there. That's how we're defining dating, with the intent that this relationship is going to grow into a long-term relationship, be it marriage or just a healthy long-term, this my boo for the next 3 years or 5 years. I don't know, 10 years. I don't know how y'all do it. But that's the dating we are referring to. Danny, would you add or subtract something from that?
No, that's exactly it. I mean, I definitely would define dating is, someone that you are spending time with consistently. You are having non-sexually intimate exchanges with them, and you may be having sexual intimate exchanges with them. That is, it's someone that you are in a consistent romantic relationship with, that you are seeking for it to be an exclusive, long-term relationship or commitment.
And also, I guess before we go into again the reasons why we don't, the top 3 reasons why we think multiple dating is a toxic approach. Let's briefly talk about when we think dating. I don't want to use the word dating since we just defined it, but I'll say engaging with multiple people is appropriate, right? So when you can't talk to Jerome, Brandon, and Michael, off the back is like, when you just out meeting people. When you're first getting to know people, I do not expect in the first month that you are going to cut off everybody, or neither do I expect that I'm going to cut off folks that I may have met within these first couple of weeks just because I really like you. What about you?
I mean, I agree. But I think it ends up happening by, organically, right? The person that you like the most is the person that you tend to make yourself available the most for. And, it tends to be a falling away of the rest of the individuals, because, it's like, oh, I feel like I'm more aligned with this person and I want to explore, where this could go. And so I want to make myself available and more accessible to this person in particular.
Yeah, yeah. I used to think until it happened to me. I used to think that, after we meet and we connect and sparks fly, bruh, it's time to cut everybody off. It's time to cut everybody off. But honestly, and it may work for some people, because I know people who've gotten married in like 3 months,
Like
and they literally, and they knew immediately, and it was a no-brainer. I also know people when I was I also know when I got into relationships, and then you scratching your head on month 3, like, who is this person I'm in a relationship with, because you didn't take your time to really get to know them, right? Because all the butterflies and everything else came through. So I think there are times when dating or engaging with multiple people is appropriate. So let's hop into the 3 reasons, boom, 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 why dating multiple people is a toxic approach, right? So, number one, y'all like my dances with this? Number 1, this is not what we really want. Period. You do not, it's not, you do not want to date multiple people. If you could create the scenario to meet whomever you want to be with, dating Tom, Dick, and Harry along with your mister would not be a part of the equation. You don't want to. You want to give your time to that one person who wants to give your time to you. That is the goal. You don't want to date all these people. So this is a response and not an original thought.
Agreed. I mean, I think that, you know, you waste so much time with all of this foolishness of, it's really ascribing to what's going on in the culture. And it's also a manifestation of internalized oppression. So when you feel like you don't have a choice but to date multiple people, because the guys that you are uh, interested in dating or are entertaining are dating multiple people. And so you're trying to play defense, by being like, by not being exclusively available to them, you either actually start dating or entertaining multiple people, or you lie about dating multiple people just because you don't want to seem like you are available, exclusively available for this person while they are openly dating other people, not realizing that them openly dating other people has everything to do with what's going on with them in their own internal issues that they're having, where they feel like they need multiple people to fill voids, or it could be a whole lot of things. I mean, if we start talking about toxic masculinity and this whole culture that has groomed men to date multiple women, to be with multiple women, and attach their manhood to their ability to be with multiple women, you have a lot of men who give away pieces of themselves because that's what they've been groomed to do, when they're screaming at their core because they don't feel like anybody actually sees them for who they are.
Yeah, that's good. I think something else you mentioned before you keep going, Danny, is this idea of vulnerability, because that's what happens, right? If I know that I want to exclusively date you or entertain you, I have to be vulnerable enough with you to tell you that and to open myself up to that. But there
Absolutely.
is safety in like, oh no, you're really not my only one. Like we've seen the memes, like, oh, he think he number one, but I send this to all my dudes, or who else is on the roster, right? It's kind of like bravado beating my chest that you aren't the only one, but that really is that's avoidance of vulnerability.
I
And
literally saw a meme yesterday that said he think I'm obsessed with him, and my friends call him which one.
yeah,
And I was just like, while I chuckled and I laughed at the meme, I was like, I hate this logic.
yeah,
Because it's the, and my friends call him which one. It's like, you want somebody to be the only one. You can't wait to prance around and let the whole world know that you finally found the person that makes your heart sing, or whatever that little
what is it?
TikTok voice does. Like, guys, I finally found the person that, like, and so it's like we can't wait. We can't wait to do that, but we are fighting against a culture that a misogynistic culture that really hates women, that men are actively fighting against too. They have this tug of war against who they are at their core and against who they've been groomed to be. So they're really at war with themselves. And then you got the, women who have this internalized oppression from trying to be, engage with women. And so you have all of this hurt that men have done, have hurt you because of the stuff that they have going on with them, but now you've internalized that, and so now you're participating in the cycle of hurt back and forth.
And going back to the original
Exhausting.
statement too, right? And going back to the original statement too, Danny, it's like we all sincerely desire intimacy. I don't care what anybody says. Like we want to be vulnerable, we want to be known. Like I want
We
to
were
be able to be
created for intimacy.
emotionally, yeah, I want to be emotionally intimate or emotionally what I say, naked, physically naked. Like I want to be able to be seen, like you mentioned, be accepted and be loved when I am seen. But that cannot happen when we are still subscribing to this idea of dating multiple people and to that meme, because what happens in that meme, you're playing with that guy's emotions. What matters is the heart. That's not okay. Like, why are you playing with someone's emotions?
And then it's really like I said, it's a defense mechanism. It's
It
you
is.
saying, I don't trust you not to mishandle me if I'm just exclusive with you. So I can't let you know that I even want to be exclusive until I have some reassurances that you want to be exclusive with me. So it's this, so I gotta appear to be unbothered and nonchalant. I'll take it you know, I can take you or leave you. I'm good whether I'm with you or not. And it's like, no, I'm actually interested with you in you. I had a genuine and divine connection with you. And so, and then there's all this other judgment when you are assertive and forthcoming about that, because people have their own insecurities, right? So if I, as a woman, am assertive and I'm just like, you know, I'm actually interested in getting to know you better. I like the conversation that you had. I'm now being labeled as thirsty. I'm thirsty because I was assertive about wanting to have something solid or concrete with you. That's toxic logic. I actually told you how I felt. I was vulnerable and transparent, and you decided to mishandle me. So, what a lot of people do is they take that opportunity to crawl back into the hole and just be like, you know what? I'm going to date multiple people. Date them all, sis, because if you don't date them all, then you're gonna mess around and get your feelings hurt out here. No, you're gonna get your feelings hurt regardless.
You are. I had a homegirl.
You putting on. You don't really want to date all these people. It's just not what you want to do.
And you're gonna get your feelings hurt regardless, because you're gonna naturally still gravitate to the one that you like the most.
Mm-hmm. And you're gonna be frustrated when they don't pay attention to all of these antics that you have going on. I'm dating multiple people to try to make him jealous and lock me down. I want him to be like, I don't want you to be with nobody but me. So I need to show him that I'm high commodity out here on this market and other people want me. So, you know, you better lock me down. And it's like, no, don't play those games with him or yourself. If someone is consistently inconsistent with you, you have your answer. Let them figure out what's going on with them in their own session with their therapist, because the problem is we are carrying the weight of men's issues and we've internalized them as our own, and so now we're starting to show up and have these same behaviors, and it's just toxic.
It's horrible. So number 2, so that was number 1. That's not what we really want. Number 2, I wholeheartedly believe in being committed to one's best self. That's something, again, the trend that's been happening on social media, something that we've been talking about, everything from self-care to spiritual awareness to ensuring that you are your best self, you know, protecting your peace, creating these boundaries. And so my question is, how can you really be committed to your best self and all the work that it takes to be committed to your best self and still put this energy into dating multiple people? And when I say energy, if you are seriously dating multiple people, and so Danny is an extrovert, I'm an introvert, but I still, and so how we process and how we entertain people is probably different. But I still think that there is an exchange of energy. There's a process that has to happen when you are getting to know someone, and that takes time. And so if you're doing that with multiple people, how still, like there are 24 hours in a day. How do you have time to date multiple people? And I'm going to break it down real simple. So if you work 8 hours, right? And then you're committed to, you know, spiritual awareness, right? You spend time with God, right? And then maybe you have a purpose or a passion that you want to develop, right? And then maybe you need some alone time for self-care, right? Maybe you want to read up on, and these are different sections in your life. And then you have friends, right? And then maybe your family needs something from you, right? So you have all these things happening. How do you have time? And we ain't even talking about people with kids. How do you have time if you are doing what you are called to do?
You don't.
I'm struggling on my own, from cleaning up my house, right? Making sure I'm together. Work, passions, purpose, God, family, making sure that I am still current with what I'm supposed to be current with when it comes to women and girls. Then you think about other projects, like literally, how do you have time? You can't be committed to one's best self if you dating 3 and 4 people and you're sincerely, emotionally, invested into these, like seriously, emotionally invested into these people.
So I do want to acknowledge that you and I are macro-minded women who are entrepreneurs and business owners, and we have multiple things that the Lord have has called us to. So we just don't have time. There are other people who aren't as busy as us, because they're just not leaning into all of the things that the Lord would have for them to do for whatever reason is going on
What's
with
the
them that
smirk
we're not
for? What's
gonna,
the
I'm
smirk
gonna
for?
unpack that because it's not the smirk is, I'm not trying to say this and be shady, right?
Yeah.
There is a sect of women, which is most women, who are grossly steeped in acquiring a romantic partner, period. They make time. They always on the prowl and on the hunt. They are here for trying to find a romantic interest, right?
Okay.
But in doing so, all of this stuff that you should or could be doing is falling by the wayside. That's something that you got to work out with the Lord and again your therapist. Um, if you are genuinely devoting all of your time to stuff that you should be devoting your time to, because again, I'm not saying this as shade, right? I'm just
Mhm.
saying this as there are some people who they got time because that's what they've decided that they want to put their time into,
Mm.
you know. And somebody asked me about cooking yesterday and me being able to cook, and it was a man. And I was just like, I mean, yeah, I can cook. And it was because I had made, one of my famous dishes that I had brought it to a barbecue. And the gentleman was just, trying to make good conversation. And he was like, "Ooh, and yeah, and you can cook. I mean, because this gooey butter cake, and what else can you cook? And yada yada yada. And,
Mhm.
oh, so you gonna be able to cook for me?" And it was just really funny,
Mm. Okay.
because
But
I don't cook for myself. Because I don't have time. This is the whole point that I'm making. You see there? I
Mhm.
don't be having time to cook and I can cook. I don't be having time to clean my own house and all kind of stuff this time. So I had to pay for some help because I have reserved my energy for other stuff that I have going on. And to be honest, if you're doing what the Lord has called you to do, you don't got time to be dating 50, 11 people. Sis, you don't have time to be dating 50, 11 people. You just don't. Okay. You have time to, you barely have time. Like you literally have, if I was to seriously date somebody right now, I would have to
Mhm.
make time for that relationship. And I very much so desire to be in a committed romantic relationship. And I know that I would make time to do that. But multiple people? Yikes. Yo, that's scary. Like, I
It
wouldn't
is.
even want to have to try to keep up with all of you rascals. Like, that's just too much work and too much energy to try to make time for multiple people. Like, Houseway, why?
Houseway. Houseway.
How and
Um,
why? Why would you want to do that other than you want to appear as though you aren't as available for the one that you really want because you, again, want them to think you're a hot commodity. That internalized oppression. It's just like, stop. What you really want is psychological safety.
yep.
You want somebody, you want to be able to show up and be your 100% authentic self in a space with your romantic partner without fear of blame, shame, or attack, and with all of the love, acceptance, and support in the world and the celebration. You want them to be able to celebrate who you are, not in respect to who you are to them.
Yeah.
That's what we really want at our cores. But we're willing to accept the role as wife, girlfriend, baby mama, F buddy, all of that. We're willing to accept all of these roles just to be in a relationship with a man, just to try to get to the place where we can get that psychological safety and be ourselves. And doing all of this filtering by dating multiple people, you can't get there by doing that. Not seriously dating multiple people. It's
Yeah.
toxic and it's
And
detrimental. It's a lack of self-love. Some people would call it self-hatred because it's detrimental to your emotional wellness and it is emotionally irresponsible.
It's emotionally irresponsible, I think, on both ends, right? To yourself, but also something that you mentioned prior to this. But eventually, someone is going to, or potentially someone is going to fall for you, right? And you're not going to fall for them. But what happens is you begin to string them along because they're not number one. And so
Yep.
you always have number two or number three waiting when you know for sure that you sincerely don't desire number two or number three. You just want someone to entertain you, right? You just want
Mhm.
some company. And let's be clear, I get the desire. Listen, I get the desire of male energy and male presence and wanting that. But at what point and where do we draw the line of caring for another human being? Because I think that's what has gotten us into this space where there are there's a lot of tension in relationships, specifically between men and women, right? Because we put ourselves in these positions where I'm really not caring for you just as another human being. I'm disregarding your feelings and I'm literally using you until what I want comes along. How are we okay with that? Because you don't want to be used. Because what do? We call them F boys, right? When we get used and we get strung along, and we know good and well that, or he knows good and well that I'm not what he wants, right? But we pick up the
Absolutely.
phone when boy number one get on our nerves, or boy number one don't give us the attention that we want, and then we give this other dude all the attention and makes him feel really good and that you're really interested in him. And so you are not sincerely caring for another human being. When we talk about this community, when we talk about self-care, we have to also be mindful of how we harm other human beings.
So, Cameo, you just said two things that I can sum up very quickly. You just said hurt people, and that we all tend to be a little narcissistic. Let me explain. One of the hallmarks of narcissism is your lack of empathy for other people. You don't have to be a full on narcissist to function from a narcissistic space. We all, from time to time, function from a narcissistic space, right? And if we are functioning from a place of hurt and disregard and a lack of self love, one of the hallmarks of not loving yourself is how you mishandle and mistreat other people. Okay. How you handle and treat other people. And if you're mishandling them, there you go. You're hurting. You feel like there has been a blatant disregard for your feelings because the person that you're really interested in has mishandled you and has been very nonchalant and aloof. So it's nothing for you to do it to somebody else. Now, there's a difference between you being nonchalant and aloof with a person who you've been assertive with and told that you are not romantically interested in you, and they continue to disregard what you have said, and they think that they can wear you down and change your mind. And then you end up having to ghost them or not respond to their stuff because they just are unwilling to accept what you have been assertive about. There's a difference between that and you entertaining, you going out with, you kicking it with, you know, you going on dinner date, whatever. You engaging in relationship type of activity and behavior with someone that you're just using as a placeholder for who you really want to be with. People do this a lot. And then you end up with babies, you end up with STDs, you end up
Mhm.
with,
A broken heart.
a broken heart. You end up with a broken heart, and you're in such a state of brokenness that you end up bleeding onto somebody who cares for you, who has nothing to do with the hurt that you experienced from someone else. So hurt people. And it is so important that you spend some time with yourself processing through what were the learnings from your last relationship. Where did you go wrong? Where did you go right? What did you learn about yourself? It doesn't matter if the person who you're no longer with was the cause of the relationship ending, was the 100% cause of the relationship ending. There's still some learnings for you about what you learned from yourself, even if it's to be more discerning, take more time getting to know people, and to listen to the red flags, whatever they are, you
Mhm.
know. Now, there are some people who will love bomb their way into your life and take you on really high highs, and you don't have, you know, there's guys that I've dated where I don't have a bad word to say about them. Brother, every interaction, brother treated me good, you know, but then it didn't work out for one reason or another. You know what I mean? So
Mhm.
I don't necessarily have anything bad to say about them, but where did I go wrong in this situation where I allowed myself to be strung along and for my heart to be hijacked? Was it because they were good at love bombing, or was I low hanging fruit? Was I in a vulnerable place? Was I attention deprived and emotionally starved? So when somebody started paying me attention, I was just so excited that I just went all in. Is it okay that I went all in and that they just weren't really ready for that because of their own stuff? Sometimes we do everything right in a relationship and it still sours because the other person is not in a good place. So then we internalize that.
Yeah.
And so you really have to work through these things in therapy, because if you don't, you take them into your next relationship. You're hurting, and
And
you're destined to hurt someone else.
we create this cyclical space of hurting, and we create these narratives like dating multiple people,
Mhm.
and disregarding people as though that is the way, and it's not. Based on what we shared, it's not healthy. And it's so funny, I was thinking as you were talking,
It's true.
I was thinking as you were talking, um I didn't even include, when I say how, I didn't even include everything, like even our physical bodies, like eating healthy foods, working out, like all that takes time, and all that adds to our best self if we want to present this. So again, going back to, if you are doing what first God called you to do, right? And if you are um really on that path of being your best self, I just think it's a challenge. I think it's impossible to seriously date multiple people. And so the next place I think that this brings us to, so then how do you get to know people um over time? Like, I still want to be in relationship with him, right? I still think he's a dope dude. I think we connected. And you got another dope dude over here that you connected with. Like, how do I maintain that? For me, it's like, if you are desiring, again, if you are desiring, and I'm not talking about, so it's different if you're, because this just came to my mind, it's different if you're polyamorous, right? If you want multiple people in your in your space, I'm not talking about that. But if you want it to be you and another person, um taking your time and getting to know someone without romance. And I think that's difficult when you, if the brother is fine and you think he cute. Oh, but I think that's difficult. But I think getting to know someone as much as you can platonically helps with that decision before emotions get involved. Getting involved. I mentioned this earlier. I got in a relationship with the dude. This is old cameo, like 20 something year old cameo. But I got in a relationship with the dude. He said something. I said, "Oh my gosh, this dude is stupid." And we've been in a relationship. No, but he's my man, and he mine. What I'm gonna do? But it's because I didn't really take my time to get to know him, right? Realize that he didn't value he didn't value education. He didn't value reading books, right? Or he just let stuff fall out of his mouth. But I think, and also I think it helps us navigate life a lot better, um, and build more solid, just solid relationships when you take your time to get to know somebody.
Well, I think that the real issue there is that we live in a culture where we largely believe that physical attraction equates to relationship viability, and it
Mm,
just does not.
mhm,
Um, you can be physically attracted to someone, you can flirt back and forth, tit for tat, and vibe with someone, and have a conversation with them and decide that y'all don't have lifestyle congruence, your core values aren't aligned, and you don't share the same outcomes. people will blaze right past, but they fine though. You know, because what you're focused on is this bedroom. I'm fit. You are attractive enough for me to lay down with. We've established that. Since we just gonna put it out there, because let's be real. The goal is the bedroom, and some men will take you on a couple of dates to get you to bed. Some men will be in a relationship with you to get you to bed, and some men will wait. Very few men will wait to marry you to get you into the bedroom.
I want to add to what you were saying though, Danny. When you said, you know, we think being physically attracted to someone is the reason or is the foundation for a great relationship, and we want to, we like, yep, I think he fine, I think she fine, let's do this. I also think we mismanage the things we desire, misalign the things we desire when you talk about core values and desired outcomes, right? So I hear a lot of people say like he has to be educated or she has to be educated, or she has to be this type of woman, or he has to be this type of man, or but those things still are not connected to necessarily your core values. You guys do not, like, you have so many people who have these things aligned, like, oh, he goes to church, or he's a believer, and he wants a family, and he's educated, and you know, and they have these three things, both of you guys, but still you guys do not y'all do not connect. It doesn't work.
It doesn't work, and it could be, and a lot of it is because we don't ask the right questions. We think that a lot of things happen by osmosis. Like, if so, I'm just going to be transparent about me, right? I made the joke earlier about the guy talking about me cooking and stuff. And it is, you know, our culture at large has valued women based on their ability to cook and clean and keep house, mother children, and screw, right? And have sex. And so if you don't cook and clean, and if you can't have children, then what? Like, so that's supposed to diminish your value as a woman, right? I'm just asking that question because here's the thing. If I don't cook for myself or clean up my own house or do my own laundry, if your idea of having a good woman means that she does these things for you, I'm not going to be the girl for you. But if I never asked any of these questions, or you never, or you just had these ideas and assumptions, oh, I saw this meme. As a matter of fact, I believe you sent it to me, Cameo. It says something along the lines of a man should never have to cook, clean, or fix his own plate or something like that if he has a woman. And it is just like,
baby,
all of this stuff is stupid. This stuff don't, like, you want a domestic servant. Say that, right? Do you actually want to be with another person where there's a positive synergy toward you both becoming the highest and best expression of yourself that is in alignment with your purpose and destiny? Or do you want a concubine? A concubine is basically a slave that you get to have sex with, father children by them, but they do whatever
I think that's what they want. I think
but you know, and they're slave to you and the main wife or wives, plural.
I think they don't know it, but I think that's what they want, and that's what they sincerely desire.
I'm telling you, you know, and it's so when you don't ask these questions, you know what I mean? It's like you get into these relationships, and then you have these unrealistic expectations where you're judging, you know, your partner based on how they keep house and they do all of this stuff because some culture made up rules that you don't even ascribe to, or now you ascribe to them, but they don't work for you in your situation in your house.
Yeah.
So you're creating unnecessary conflict in your relationship because you're trying to make someone be some idea or version of them that is not who they are. Yeah. Having unrealistic expectations for people to live up to a version of them that they just aren't is going to cause for turbulence in your relationship. You know, when Cardi B said, I don't cook, I don't clean, but let me tell you how I got this ring, people were mortified.
They were.
They were mortified. But Cardi told the truth. In the culture that Cardi lives in and ascribes to, she acquired her husband by being able to bust it wide open for him, among other things. And she was explicit about that. Now, she's also had to experience, you know, her husband publicly cheating on her and then doing all of these grandiose gestures to get her back when she has filed for divorce 2 or 3 times now publicly. Because one thing about her, that she's made it clear that she'll leave the brother like, okay, well, you want to be out here for the streets, be for the streets. Me and my baby gonna be all right. But like, her owning herself, owning what she ascribed to, set people ablaze. But do you know yourself? Do you know what you ascribe to? Are you ascribing to ideologies about being a wife that do not align with who you are as a person and that don't align with your lifestyle and your career? The idea
are you I'm saying, are you ascribing to ideologies about dating
are
that
you
do not
ascribing
align?
to ideologies about dating that don't align with who you are as a person? You're ascribing to this logic of dating multiple people, and it's just simply not what you desire. You're ascribing to the way that you need to date and be with a person, and it's not even what works for you. And people just need to be honest about what they really want instead of finding reasons to rush to who cares the least.
Yeah. So how then do you think that folks should, so if I do like Jerome and I like Jamal, right? If I like them both, I've gotten to know them, we've become friends, and or I don't want to say is it possible to like them both, right? But we're friends and I see something,
It's possible.
I see something in both of them, right? How then would you suggest, someone approach that? Like I want to know a little bit more about Jamal. I want to know a little bit more about Jerome.
For us, we only have the power of living in our own truths. And the person who is the recipient of that has the power of living in their truth as well, based on the capacity that they have. And they may or may not be receptive to that. There are men who are going to try to find a reason to disqualify you. Oh, she thirsty. She said that. You know, it's that.
What do you mean? What do you mean to live in their truth? When I ask that
So when you
question,
ask that question, I'm saying to be honest with the both of them.
oh,
To
okay,
be honest with the one or both of them and be like, you know what? I am very interested. It's what I actually do, right? It's like I'm interested in, I feel like we've had good enough conversations and interactions for me to explore if this could become something else. I am interested in actually, spending more time with you so that we can see where this goes. Is that
mm-hmm.
something that you're interested in? Because the thing is to get on the table, what is the other person's desired outcome for this interaction?
Yeah,
Is it are you interested enough to where you want this to go further, or have you already decided that you know you want to move around? You just haven't, but you enjoy some benefits of me, but you've decided on some level that I'm not it for you. I'd rather you be honest and not waste my
yeah,
just don't waste my time. I'd rather you not waste my time.
yeah,
I'd rather not waste your time, because the longer we spend emotionally entangled with people who we aren't supposed to be with, your heart isn't free and your head isn't clear in order for you to be open for somebody who is available
yeah,
for you to be with. So just be honest. And if they don't receive it, if they over there being toxic and trying to uphold the patriarchy, then let them be toxic, but don't internalize that as something is wrong with you because you're being rejected. It's
yeah.
hard not to internalize rejection as something being wrong with you.
So I think it comes back to what you said, integrity. Like integrity. What and who are we really trying to become as an individual? And also, if we believe in truly caring for other folks, if we believe in truly caring for our community, how then, or how are we defining dating multiple people and caring for them? Right?
When you don't care for yourself, though, the Bible says that the greatest commandments are to love the Lord thy God with all your heart, all your mind, all your soul, all that's within you. And the second is likened unto the first. Love thy neighbor as you love thyself. You skip into self-love. If you don't love yourself, it's going to be hard for you to love your neighbor. So you're going to be out here mishandling and mistreating people because your butt need to be in therapy. Log on to www.refreshwellnesscenter.com or Danielle Moore, lcsw.com and schedule your session today.
But that's what we got for y'all. I really hope that you took something from this. I hope it set on your heart differently if you were considering dating multiple people. And I'm very much interested in folks who say, no, y'all wrong. I can date multiple people and still be the best and highest expression of myself, and I can still care for these multiple folks I'm dating and treat them well and treat them right. I'm interested in hearing from y'all if you believe that to be the case.
Maury said that's a lie.
This is the Good Girl Podcast. As always, please make sure you share this. Also hit subscribe to our podcast and also leave a comment. So comments boost the Good Girl Podcast. So you can comment on Apple Podcasts, you can comment on Stitcher, you can comment on wherever you listen to your podcast. But comment, share, and tell us, right? If you mad and you feel a little bit of convicted, just go sit in your prayer closet for a minute. Don't be writing all them comments up under this.
Write the comments. We'll help you.
All right. This is the Good Girl Podcast.